Naomi Oreskes, Merchants of Doubt, How a Handful of Scientists Obscured the Truth on Issues from Tobacco Smoke to Climate Change. Embark on a journey uncovering the hidden truths behind pressing issues, as Merchants of Doubt reveals how a select group of scientists deliberately obscured critical information about the consequences of smoking tobacco and the reality of climate change. This book's summary dives into the diabolical partnership between the tobacco industry and dishonest scientists, who banded together to fight against emerging evidence, gradually turning their sights on issues including acid rain, the ozone layer, and global warming. Be prepared to challenge your own beliefs and gain insights into how political motivations and unscrupulous business practices have distorted crucial scientific knowledge.
Tobacco industry's dirty secret. The tobacco industry was well aware of the harmful effects of smoking as early as the 1950s but chose to mislead their customers by propagating doubt about the validity of scientifically proven facts. To save tobacco's deteriorating image, they hired a PR firm to cast doubt upon the idea that smoking was bad for health. The tobacco companies even funded top universities and hired respected scientists to prove that smoking was not connected to health problems. However, they could only suppress the truth for so long, and eventually people wisened up. Uncovering the tobacco industry's war on science. The tobacco industry fought to suppress the truth about the harmful effects of smoking. While scientific evidence emerged about the detrimental effects of smoking, the dangers of passive smoking were not recognized until the 1980s. The industry disputed claims by attacking science, including the EPA report on secondhand smoke's risks, which had been peer-reviewed twice. Despite being proven wrong, the industry misled the public. This summary sheds light on how the tobacco industry's campaign against scientific evidence unfolded. The fight against nuclear war. The fear of nuclear war led to the controversial Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, in the 1980s. While 6,500 scientists opposed it, 3 conservative scientists, including Fred Seitz, founded the George C. Marshall Institute to promote propaganda about the Soviet threat and bolster the SDI. Although their ideas were scientifically invalid, they gained public attention using the Fairness Doctrine policy, prolonging the debate. The politics of acid rain. The book describes the emergence of acid rain as an environmental issue and the politics surrounding its treatment in the U.S. The latter half of the 20th century brought about a wave of environmental issues that garnered the attention of scientists and politicians alike. Among these challenges was acid rain, which had been exhaustively studied since the 1960s. Acid rain occurs when rainwater becomes acidic due to a lower than normal pH concentration. This phenomenon stunts forest and plant growth and can cause harm to aquatic life. Research has shown that acid rain can be traced back to the use of fossil fuels, and that the pollution that leads to it may come from a different geographical location than where the rain falls. Despite ample scientific evidence, the U.S. government neglected the issue throughout the 1970s, even as Canadian scientists found that 50% of acid rain in their country came from American emissions. Finally, in 1980, both countries came together to form teams to research the problem. The findings were reviewed by the U.S. National Academy of Sciences in 1981, but were subsequently re-evaluated by a panel of independent scientists that was handpicked by the White House. Fred Singer, a panelist concerned primarily with the financial costs of any proposals to combat acid rain, was added to the group by the U.S. government, even though he was not initially chosen by panel chairman William A. Nierenberg. The final review was edited so heavily that the solutions presented seemed dubious at best, calling into question the scientific consensus on how to proceed. The book delves into the politics surrounding acid rain, revealing how the threat of action against pollution was quashed by governmental interference in science. The ozone layer depletion battle. The book talks about the prolonged scientific discussion and acceptance of the depletion of the ozone layer due to CFCs, despite the aerosol industry's resistance towards it. Science has a history of advancing slowly, and when industry interests are involved, it is usually even more so. Such was the case with the depletion of the ozone layer through chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, where discussions for almost half a century took place before the discovery of the ozone hole in Antarctica in 1985. James Lovelock's hypothesis in 1970 that these common CFCs from hairsprays and aerosol products could concentrate in the Earth's stratosphere and deplete the ozone had solid scientific evidence in the late 1960s. However, the aerosol industry resisted any scientific work on studying the impact of CFCs on the ozone layer. Industry representatives defended their products and blamed natural sources, including volcanic dust, as major culprits in the ozone depletion. Despite industry efforts to halt scientific investigations, the U.S. government pursued National Academy of Science reports linking CFCs to ozone depletion. As a result, the CFC propellant was banned in 1979, and in 1987, the Montreal Protocol was introduced, which required countries still producing CFCs to cut their production in half. The aerosol industry did not give up and continued making desperate arguments against the science behind CFC's effects during the 80s. One of the leading figures in this fight was Fred Singer, who published articles as late as 1991, questioning the scientific credibility of the support for ozone depletion. The book highlights how a prolonged scientific discussion and acceptance of facts can lead to a positive outcome despite the industry's resistance. The divided science behind the delayed regulation of fossil fuels. The delay in acknowledging and creating awareness about the dire environmental issue related to global warming was due to the conflicting views of natural scientists who believed in its occurrence and economists who saw its financial ramifications. The Carbon Dioxide Assessment Committee report prepared by economists framed the issue as solvable with new technology, leading to the White House dismissing calls for regulation of fossil fuels. It was only during the late 80s and early 90s that public interest in global warming resurfaced, ultimately leading to the signing of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change by 194 countries. Despite the public interest, prominent scientists still dismissed the issue as a media scare. The political appropriation of science, DDT and environmental regulations. The pesticide DDT was banned in 1972 due to its devastating environmental impact, particularly the concentration of the chemical in the food chain. Rachel Carson highlighted the harms associated with DDT and pesticides in her book Silent Spring, leading to its ban. However, DDT was still approved for commercial use in domestic emergencies and export to countries with malaria epidemics. In the mid-2000s, Carson was falsely accused of causing human deaths resulting from the DDT ban, which was merely a political stunt to turn people against environmental regulations. Ironically, the industry representatives who lobby against such regulations could be harmed the most.
In conclusion, Merchants of Doubt stands as a dire warning about the manipulative tactics used by certain powerful industries and their hired scientists to conceal overwhelming evidence of the damages caused by their products and practices. From the harmful effects of tobacco smoke to environmental issues like acid rain, ozone layer depletion, and global warming, these devious actors have sown doubt and confusion to protect their financial interests. It is crucial for us to recognize the various examples highlighted in the book summary, bearing in mind the impact they have had on humanity and the environment, while remaining vigilant against similar underhanded misinformation campaigns in the future.